Today I'm going to talk to you about clients for life and how to keep them. And even if you're brand new, I started doing these things kind of late in the game, and it was a lot of work to go backwards and take all my old clients and do this stuff. I might add, if you're a male, a lot of this you're going to look at and be like, oh yeah, that's just not me. Well, I have news for you. I am like a man in women's clothing, so I'm just telling you that, I mean, most of my friends are guys. Notice I'm the only girl here too, right? You know? Most of my friends are men because I think like a guy. So some of these things that I'm going to share with you, you're probably like, oh, that's hokey, that's stupid, whatever. But I'm just telling you that it works. And sometimes I have to force myself to be that person because I'm a very high D personality. And I'm just going to talk about that for a minute. If you don't know what the DISC profile is, I'm going to take just a minute to talk about it, because it really changed my getting business from people when I went to people's houses. And I still, to this day, have to remind myself before I go in, you can't go in someone's house and give the same spiel to the same people in the same format. You really can't. Have you ever gone to a house and you can just tell they're just waiting for you to be done with what you're saying so they can, you know what I mean? Same thing when you're dealing with other realtors. Somebody in the room yesterday came up to me and said, you got to help me. It was you, right? You have to, was it you that asked me yesterday? How do I deal with these other realtors and get them to see my point of view? You know, and I'm like, well, just like the customers, you have to identify who you're dealing with. And I mean, we know we have some egomaniacs in our business, right? Well, I deal with them too all the time. And I tell them, I'm like, I am so glad that I am working with you on this deal because you are such a true professional. There's this one guy who calls me dear and honey and all this stuff, and I just want to like, you know, okay, dear, walk down the street, honey is something you put in tea, but whatever. But, you know, I tell him all the time, I'm like, hey, Dan, and I deal with him a lot. He's in my market, and he's selling a lot, and he is a really good agent. I'm like, Dan, I know you can get this done. I'm so happy to be working with you, because nobody could get it done like you could get this done. You know, and I feed it. So the DISC profile, if you don't know it, and if you do, sorry if this is boring, but it's, for the ones that don't know it, you really have to know it. D is like a dominant director, driver personality, which most of us in this room are. Why are we in real estate? We want to, you know, run our own show. We don't want to have a boss per se, even though the sellers technically are our bosses, but we can choose we can choose to accept the job from these bosses. If you don't like them, you can get rid of them. Funny story, I had this super high D jerk of a guy, the guy I told you yesterday, or that gave me a bad review on Zillow, because him and I were just like, all the time. So he gave me a keychain to his house. And I took a key to his house, took the key, it was on a Coach keychain. And the Coach keychain was all like damaged. And I said, do you want this keychain back? He's like, oh no, I've got 100 Coach keychains. Like he's talking to me like, you couldn't possibly own a Coach keychain. So you need it more than I do. I mean, he has no idea. You know, I'm probably making more than him, right? But anyway, so I go home, I go to my office, I take the keychain, it's all tattered, I tell my team, you know what, put this in an envelope, don't leave it with me because I'll lose it, stick it in something, and I know he's gonna ask me for this keychain back. So sure enough, I mean, I list the house, a week later, he calls me, it's like Friday night at 4 o'clock. Yeah, my wife's really pissed, she wants the keychain back. I'm like, okay. I go, guess what? Good news for you. You told me to throw it out or keep it. I kept it, and I've got it, and I'll bring it back. I'll drop it off at your house on Monday because I'm headed up to my lake house, you know. I don't tell him that, but, you know, have an appointment. An appointment with my boat. Anyway, so long story short, he's like, well, my wife wants a keychain here tonight. And I'm like, listen, I'm not in the area, and the keychain's at my office. If you want to go pick it up, I'll have it waiting up front for you. And he says, you know, this is not acceptable. If this is how things are going to work, we're not going to be able to work together. I go, great. I said, would you rather have me fax, email, or have someone drop off a cancellation agreement to you? So there's like dead silence on the other line. And he goes, oh, you know, did you know that we have a contract? I'm like, yeah, I do know. And I said, and I'm giving you the opportunity to break it, since clearly, if I don't drop off this keychain, your life's going to end. And that's exactly how I talked to him. After that, we were the best of friends. He liked me, everything went fine, and then I sold his house in like way less than average market time for an amazing price. So his comment on Zillow was basically that I did nothing for the money. You know? So you just couldn't win with this guy. You know what I mean? In the meantime, his 20-something-year-old son was diagnosed with a brain tumor in this time frame, unfortunately. And I think he was just pissed off and looking to get to everybody. But the point is, he was a flaming D. And I thought, okay, Mr. D, you've met Mrs. D. And we're going to have a battle. But, you know, because of how he was, I knew how I had to deal with him. And that's my point. So when you go on an appointment, you're dealing with that kind of person. They're very bottom line people. They don't want you to sit there and go through your whole presentation. And another suggestion I have is, in my presentation, I don't know what you do, but in mine, the first part of my presentation is always about their house. The second part's always about marketing. And the reason is, they're not going to listen to anything I have to say about marketing because they're just waiting for the price. So my thought is, give them what they want, so at least they'll hear you. And then, when I get through the pricing side, then I say to them, would you like to hear about marketing? You'd be shocked at how many times people go, oh, no, that's all right, we just wanted to get the price. I'm like, good, bye, I'm out of here. You know? So high D personalities are that type of people. I's are people that are socializer, influencers. They're people that, I had a house listed one time, it was owned by a Chicago Bears player, right? And these people called to see the house, and they pull up in a minivan, this is the God's honest truth, and their license plates are F-U-T-B-A-L, football, right? So as soon as they pulled up, I said, do you know who lives here? And they kind of looked at me and go, yeah. I go, this is Bobby Ingram's house. I said, obviously you guys like football. This would be a perfect match. So I spoke to them as a high I personality. S's are the more needy people, the people that I have the hardest time with, like, oh, you know, I'm afraid. Every door in my house has to be locked. What if they look at my dog? What if they talk to my kids? What, you know, that's S. So when you're listing an S personality's house, you have to like be a warm, fuzzy hand holder. They're into security, safety. And the C's are the engineers. They have no emotion. You go there, they're like, yeah, mm-hmm. You pull out a bunch of data and charts, they're going to be your best friend. So when you go on an appointment, or even when you're dealing with buyers, if you want to get what you want, the best thing you could ever do is identify what you're dealing with. Most DI people, which is us, so D are, you know, dominant directors, I are influencer socializers. So we couldn't be in real estate if we weren't social in some capacity. You can generally look around a room, like this is an I shirt right here. If I was a total D, I'd have a collared shirt, you know, it would be different. I'd kind of look more like New Englandy or something. So the reason I bring this up is I think if you put this into play with not only your work, but with your the other realtors and the clients, if you go to someone's house and you see they're taking copious notes, you know, and they're like bullet pointed, you know, right off the bat you're dealing with the C. So don't spend a lot of time talking about the golf course because they don't really care. They're more interested in the data and the charts. So if you have a listing presentation, it should have facets of D, I, S, and C. So I just thought I'd throw that out. I didn't have much time to talk about it, but it's really huge. And even in my family, I realized my son, I have 4 girls and a boy, right? And my son is a total DI, he is totally me. My husband is a total SC. Now he's not needy per se, but he's super anal. Like every morning I'm like, okay, I don't even know where my car keys are. He's like, your car keys are in the, you know, so I come down, he's like, your car keys are in the bathroom, your sunglasses are in the pantry, you know. And now my son does it to me, you know, because it's just funny. So he's kind of a DC. And then I have one daughter who's a complete I, all over the place. I want to strangle her half the time, you know. And then I have another one that's just like my husband. So once I identified the personality styles, even of my family, it changed relationships. So I strongly encourage you, the next time you go on an appointment, I gave you a chart in the previous presentation, in your head. Look at how they're dressed, look at how they talk. You will win way more business if you talk to them in their own language. And you know, our agenda is always, here's my presentation, here's what I do. Well, if I'm at someone's house and I see he's a high C, and I have all these testimonials, I literally flip through it because I know this guy doesn't care if they love me or not. So what you'll see in my Clients for Life, getting into that, is a lot of what I've done is designed to attract different personality styles. So I know here, when things here, we call them closings, you call them settlements, right? Yeah. I don't know what you call them when they're under contract. What are they called, under contract? Okay, all right, so we can talk that language, but I'll say settlement instead of closing. Okay, so biggest thing is to get the people excited about their new home. One thing that I highly recommend everybody do, the minute you sell someone a house, take them off the automatic feed in the MLS. So many people don't do it, and then that just helps buyers totally. I'm sure you have this MLS that automatically feeds listings, right? So many people don't take their buyers off of it. You're asking, the day they go under contract, you need to stop that auto feed, right? If they ever have buyer's remorse, you're just making them crazier daily. You know, at least if they go on Truly and Zillow and all that junk, they've got to search. And hopefully they're busy getting ready for everything else. But you keep dropping new listings into their mailbox, you're asking for trouble. We do just move postcards, new address label, things for their kids, and I'm going to share some of these things. So yesterday, I didn't really touch on what CRM we're using, and a bunch of people asked me that in the hallway. So we started out with Online Agent. It was called Agent 2000. It's had 1 million names, and it's basically what we've been using up until this year, because it's not web-based, which is ridiculous. But we have 10,000 contacts in there, and converting them all into a CSV file and making the transitions not easy. We tried to go to Top Producer, but with the team it was pretty expensive. So now we're looking at what we're starting working with is Exact, IXACT contact. IXACT. And another one that we looked at was Realty Juggler. Those were the two. For people that are already super systemized, a lot of people have said Follow Up Boss is good. So those are the three that I've heard of. I don't work for any of them. I don't know. And I think Rand has something in his setup too. So this is just a sample of our CRM plan. So you work with me. You're in my database. I launch the plan. It merges with the activities, and then the things begin. And these are not all automated. Some are high touch, and some are high tech. So even though this is high tech, what's in the plan is touch and tech combined. So these are some ideas of what we're doing, and I'm going to give you. So this is one thing that we do. And these are all things that if you don't have a lot of money, they're cheap. This is not going to cost you anything but a bunch of paper from Office Max, okay? It's not. My goal is to have my expenses under 30% every year. And if it goes to 31%, I go insane, and everybody on my team is scared. Because, you know, if you start spending more than 30%, you're not making any money. We all know the ego-driven realtors. Their names are on shopping carts, billboards, moving vans, whatever. And they're doing, you know, 60 million in business, but they're really clearing the equivalent of 20 million, and that's not going to be me. And I have my competition that I talk about, you know, it annoys me. That person I know, like, totally makes no money. I mean, she has like 22 people working for her, and when they all leave, the next thing they do is call me. It's great. I mean, they're already trained. It's like a revolt. They just come and work on my team. It's perfect. I don't even have to train them. And she's not very nice anyway. So, and I'm very nice, by the way. The people that work for me, I've had people, one person is 30 years on my team. So, and she started out part-time when I was waitressing, delivering newspapers, selling real estate, and I knew I couldn't do it all. So I hired her 10 hours a week. Her kids were going to kindergarten. Now she's a buyer agent, and she made $250 last year. So she's been with me a long time. So if you do have people working for you, the way to keep them is to treat them well, obviously. So these are the types of things that I've gone to different seminars and come up with. This is a Just Move card. All we do with this is we take a picture of the outside of the house, and there's this software called befunky.com, which I'll show you. I've got it in here so you don't have to look. And you can make the outside of the house look however you want. We also do address labels. And the program's like $79 one shot. So you buy the program, you can make labels, you can make postcards, and they're just like the postcards that you run through your own printer. They print, and you send it to them in a packet. So this is pretty simple. And we send these out immediately after they buy the house. We don't wait till the closing. And the reason we do it is we want them to have skin in the game. The other thing that we do is if it's a buyer side, we take pictures. We ask permission, of course, that during the inspection we can take pictures of the house, and we send them. We create a visual tour, and we create a link that they can send to all their friends and family. Why? Because as soon as they start telling people they bought a house, they're already emotionally more invested in owning this house. So we want them to really feel like right out of the gate that this is their house, and hopefully they're not nervous. The other thing that we do is offer a catered goodbye or housewarming party, depending. So if they're moving in the area, we offer that, and they're buying from us, we do a housewarming party if they're leaving. And what that entails is, and this could be anything. When I first started doing this, I didn't have much money, so I would have a pizza delivered, in the beginning. But then as things got better, I started doing like Corner Bakery, which delivers like a whole bunch of sandwiches. Then I went to a caterer and said, what could you do for me if I was going to do a party for, every deal? And your deal is you deliver it, and then I want a tent card in there saying that it's, everything was provided by me. So this is a sample menu of what we've done, and you can see we tell them we'll pay for 20. So if they have 40, they're on, the other 20 are on their own. They get to pick from the menu. It's delivered on silver trays, and if it's the buyer agents, I tell them they need to go to the party. I don't want to go to the party, although I do go once in a while. And it's so funny when I go, like people are like, oh my gosh, you came to the party. They get so excited. And what we do though is we ask them for their list, and then we add their friends to our database, okay? So we'll send out the invitation for you. Just give us your list of 20 people, and those people become part of our database and part of a drip campaign, and it works out pretty well. So it's very classy looking, and it's been, I can't tell you the raves I get on it. Now, like I said, if you don't have a lot of money, instead of buying a crystal vase that's going to sit on a shelf, do something that's going to have some impact. And I'll talk about closing gifts too. If you buy crystal vases, that's great, but I think rather than spend a ton of money on a vase, you can do something 12 months a year, take that same money, spread it out, and keep putting yourself in front of their face by doing something like this. With their kids, we give them gift cards for keeping their room clean. We give them labels for moving boxes. I mean, none of this is a lot. And it sounds like a lot of work, but once you get it into a system, I mean, let's say you have 10 settlements in a month. It takes no time at the first of the month to be like, oh, I have 10, I'll start doing that. And we sign them up for a book club. So this is a sample of when we send them the Toys R Us gifts. So I told you yesterday how I do a kids listing packet. And it's just put in a bag. And you can literally find 5 pages on the internet and staple them together and copy them and buy some cheap crayons at the dollar store and put them in a bag. So none of these ideas are big ticket. Like I'm trying to give you things that aren't going to cost a ton of money, and they go so far. So what we do is after the settlement, we send them this. Thanks for helping us sell your mom and dad's house, and reward for your hard work. Here's your Toys R Us gift card, and we're going to give you some. And we thing of labels, and we give them a certificate of appreciation. I mean, some people. I'll give you my Facebook. If you go on my Facebook and you go back, like you'll see people take pictures of their kids holding the certificate, and they post it on Facebook. And I wish I had my phone up here because I'd read you something I just got this morning from somebody saying, you're amazing, like you take care of the whole family. Why? Because we sent them a dog tag for their dog with a new address. I mean, $10, $10. I'm going to give you the site for that. Just started doing that last year. That one went so far. And we have their phone number on the back of it and their new address. So, and I'll tell you how we get all that info too at the closing. So this is a sample of the labels that we give to the kids. Here's your box. Here, put your name on it, and they really get into this. And it just helps the kids be part of the process. It was so funny because one of my clients goes, yeah, we're driving down the street, and my son's like, there's Leslie McDonald. We need to sell our house so we can get some more presents, So, there she is again. There she is. And my son would be on the school bus going, oh, God, Mom, it's so embarrassing. Like, he was in 8th grade. He's like, everybody's like, there's your mom, because I've worked with half of their parents. So you got to take care of the kids. So this is another thing we do, the kids book club, another cheap thing. You should see these little book reports I get. It makes, I'm sounding like an S now, but I'm really not one. So what happens is we send, as soon as they close, while we're sitting at the settlement table, we have these forms for them to fill out, which I'll give you, and we say either fill it out here or we'll send you an email. Their kids sign up for a birthday book club. So that's where they get their first one. It comes on their birthday. So we just send them a Barnes & Noble gift card, and then if they send us a book report, there's no format for it. It can be 1 page. Sometimes the parents write them because the kids are 18 months old, And then we send them a new gift card. And I would say we probably spend, $2,000 to $3,000 a year on this, but, I've got 10,000 contacts. I've been doing it 30 years, so more than likely you wouldn't. But this type of thing goes really far, and the clients of mine that are like teachers or educators, they totally get into this. And the kids write me the funniest things, like, oh, this is Captain Underpants. Miss Leslie, did you know that Captain Underpants poops in his pants? I'm like, oh my God, they're sending me this stuff. So they really get into it. And this is the actual letter. So once you do this, it doesn't have to look like this. You can make your own, whatever you want to do. But once you have this letter, and you have the Barnes & Noble cards in your drawer, it takes 10 seconds to do this. It's not, you don't need even one person working for you to do it. So, and then this just says, like, we're going to, I love a good book. I say I have a love of reading. Not really, but whatever. I mean, I'm not a big reader. And then we'll send them another one. So they'll send me one, I send them a new one, and people go, well, what if they send you 5 in a year? Oh, well, so it's $50, But I don't typically get 5 in a year, but from the same people. So this is a Facebook post from the mom. Thank you for the gift cards. They had so much fun shopping for the book. Book reports will be on the way soon. And then, this was like, I love Shopkins. They make little pictures of Shopkins. And, this is the type of thing we get in return. And we have a whole book. And so most of the time I'll get posts like this on Facebook, especially when people think I am the Barracuda. This is on my personal Facebook page, by the way. I have a team page, but they seem to gravitate more towards the personal. And my personal, you can go befriend me. It's Leslie Blair McDonald. It's basically my grandkids, whatever. And a lot of people have told me, like, they have a different point of view of me, than they did as a realtor. They thought I was just like this dominant driver, whatever. And now they see, hey, I'm a grandma. I'm at the farm. I'm, holding a chicken with the grandkids. So I post these and then this I forwarded to my business page because, of course, that's what I want. But definitely, I think this is a real easy thing to do, and it goes really far. You can copy the letter. It's not that hard. And once it's there, so this is the second reward if they do it. So it's a template. I just say, great job, Paige. We're so happy that you liked reading whatever book it was. Here's another $10 gift card. And, the parents love it. So we talked yesterday about orphans. Remember I told you orphans are other realtors' clients that they're going to ignore in the future? And I told you the only people, and people go, oh, I would never do that to another realtor. Well, you don't do it to people that are decent agents. You don't do it to people's clients, but there are so many that are never going to follow up. They're working part-time somewhere else. They're doing real estate, and they're just not going to follow up. I have not had one person, and I've been doing this for over 10 years, one realtor call me and say, why are you sending this to my client? Ever. So that tells me they're not following up with their clients. Because if they were, they would know. So we create the same image for the buyers that we do for the sellers. And I'll show you what that is. Whoops. That's what I get for having a drink of water. It's either that or choke. And I'll tell you how we do that so you can see it. This is what it looks like. So this is a sample custom print that also comes from Be Funky. So we just take a picture of the house. We use the Be Funky software, depending on what kind. Like that first house was a cute little house, so we made it all different. But you can pick whatever filter you want, just like you can on your iPhone. And then we put it in this custom frame, and we leave it in the house. So after the walkthrough, so if you sell my listing, you go to the walkthrough, we go back to the house, and we put a welcome to your new home in there. And inside of it is this frame. And that's what it looks like. So inside of it is also, it's all tied up in a bow. We have a clean copy of the brochure for them. And then there's also a letter telling them, if you want after the closing, as I told you yesterday, we'll come back and take a video, once you get done fixing, the before and after, we'll come back, we'll do a visual tour for you and send you a link that you can send to your clients. I would say probably 15% of people take us up on it. But I get a lot of comments about this being a nice touch. I cannot tell you how much business I've gotten from these orphan people. It's unbelievable. So this is something that prior to closing, if you have a team and you have a buyer agent, on my team, you cannot get a paycheck unless you can't get your check unless you have this form filled out. I'm that adamant about the contact info. So, bless you. So this is what we do when you know how you're sitting there and there's nothing to do when you're at the closing for, you're waiting for funding, you're waiting for the money. This is a great thing. Say, hey, would you guys mind doing this? And sometimes they go, why do you want this info? And we just say, we're going to send you a bunch of things, and you'll see, you're going to get items of value. So they'll do it. Here's something we do give to every single person. And what I find really fascinating is the more expensive the house, the more they like it, which is so dumb. You would not believe that, but it's a customized stamper. It comes from the perfectclosinggifts.com. It's $15 per stamper. $15.05. Somebody changed that. But it's $15.05, and it's branded. And so it's a self-inking stamper. So it goes directly to the house after the closing. So this year, we just started sending them to the orphans. We never did before. And we have gotten tons of positive feedback. We just used to send this to our buyers and sellers, but then I said, why aren't we doing this to the orphans? It's $15. So we started doing it to the orphans, and the company sends them directly. They take, you just send them a bunch of business cards. They do the whole thing. You just send them an order form and it's done. You don't even have to touch it. So it's pretty easy. And then we started doing the dog tags. Isn't this the greatest thing? I think they're $10. $10. So on our form, actually, I was just going to look at that. Do we have the dog thing on there? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. I didn't realize if we did or didn't because we just started doing it. So, yeah, and then if they're microchipped, you can even put on there that they're microchipped. It's a pretty cool thing to do. And people love it. Because, you have those people where their dogs are their kids, right? They don't have kids, but they have these dogs. And, like my sister-in-law, she posts pictures of her dogs in clothes and hats and all, they're these big, huge German Shepherd, and they're like dressed for Halloween, Valentine's Day, So I sent her this for them. She got a new dog, and she was like beside herself with happiness. So anyway, now we're getting into follow-up systems and ideas. These are some things that we're doing. These are our plans for after the closing. This is just a small list. So you can see what we're doing is it's interspersed with, okay, week 1, we're sending an email. How'd things go with the move? It's like the worst question to ask. You just pray that the answer is going to be good. Yeah, the toilet was leaking all over the floor, and okay, I'll send a plumber out, But then, so that's our high tech, and then next comes thanks for using our services card, which is an actual card. So go to the dollar store. And we make our own cards, but if you don't want to do that, go to the dollar store and pick out 12 cards. Put them in a folder. And so you'll see here, thanks for using our services card, go out 2 weeks after the closing. And then, it's just a system. And once you have this in your database, this system, see 18-month card, 24-month card, 30-month card, 36-month card. So that's how we're mixing high touch and high tech. And these cards at the dollar store are 30 cents. So they're in a drawer 12 months in a row. And when they're handwritten. In my case, because I have people helping me, I write every single one of them myself, just so you know. I sit in my bed, my comforter is ruined because I do it when I'm in bed and there's ink when I fall asleep doing it all over the white comforter. But so I handwrite all the notes, but I have them do the outside of the envelope and stamp it so it's ready to go. All I have to do is write in it. And I'll show you some of the things that we're putting. And so it's just a keep in touch system. It's kind of like what Buffini does, but you're doing it yourself and it's a little bit cheaper. So it goes month by month by month. And then we have a past client. So you see we have all different plans. Past client out of area. I'm not going to send the same thing to somebody that's local to someone that's living in Michigan. But I keep in touch with, if they leave the state, I never take them off my mailing list. And people go, really? I do the same thing for the rest of their lives. I have a guy from Oklahoma, and he's like, I can't believe that you continue to do this. He goes, I've moved 3 times since then. I said, I know, you asked me for an agent 2 of those 3 times. Because I've never heard one word from my other agents. And he still refers to his friends. They still have friends behind, and that's what you forget. Just because they go to Michigan, you think they never talk to anybody from your state again? No. So you got to keep in touch with them. And these cards cost next to nothing. You can make your own. You can go to Staples. They'll print them all. They can be glossy. I'll show you some samples of them. And then this is what we do after the settlement. Same thing. So here's a typical seller goodbye package. What we do is we say, this is put in the house before closing, or we send it to them after, depending on where they're going. We make a CD containing everything from their sale all the documents, and we put a clean copy of the brochure in, and everything we can give them. We said, we know that moving can be bittersweet. We're happy to provide you with an opportunity to have these things on hand should you want them. And we also do something very similar on the orphan side, so they have the same thing. We also do buyer welcome packages, and it says, here's something for your memory box. You'll find a CD, some items from your purchase we thought you would like. Once you're settled in, we'd be glad to come back to your home and create a brand new visual tour. Just give us a call whenever you're ready. And then the idea is we brand the visual tour to ourselves. We use Tour Factory. Tour Factory is, I think, $80 a month for unlimited tours. So it's a pretty good deal. Yeah, $80 maybe? 80. And it's all branded, and it's so easy to use. I mean, anybody can use it. It's not that hard. So, and then we create a link, and now what we've been doing with our sellers lately is having them put their own listing on their own Facebook page, which is giving us some mileage. So again, we offer the housewarming parties to the buyers, which is the same as the farewell party. And then we have a Perks Club. So the Perks Club is if you're an orphan, seller, or buyer with me and you're local, we just call it a Perks Club. All it is I'm a notary, somebody that works for me is a notary. They can come in and have a notary service anytime they want. Complimentary photocopying. Basically, they can use our office like their office. This doesn't cost anything either. Those are amortization tables. So say, welcome to the Perks Club. And I mean, I know their realtor's not doing any of this stuff. There's no way. I mean, if you sold my listing, you would be scared of me probably, right? Because I'm doing all this stuff to your clients. So, and maybe nobody else is, maybe they aren't. Now, if you're my best friend, like I say, or a really good friend of mine, I'm clearly not going to do that to that person. But, my thinking is, why not? If you're going to blow them off, I might as well get them. And I send cards saying, thank you for purchasing my listing. That's part of our card program. So this is a sample of an insert that we put in. Now, in this state, can you give? I know you can't give money. Like in our state, you can't give money to people for giving you business, right? Probably not here either. Gift card you can do? Okay, so here's a great example. That's why I'm asking, because I would skip this. If I know, like in New Jersey, they can't do anything, I found out. But, so we show them, so this goes into all the orphans, when I start these card mailings, this is a little insert I put in there saying, why do you want to sign up for this? Why would somebody want to sign up for my Perks Club? Well, because you're going to get movie theater tickets, you're going to get on your anniversary, you're going to get Barnes & Noble gift cards, it shows all, there's our club tickets, there's all sorts of things that they can get if they join our club. So here's a sample of the cards that we've created. Again, you could take this card and go to Elance, and for $10 somebody could duplicate a birthday card. So that's our female version of a birthday card. And every January we change the cards. But you don't even have to. They're not going to analyze, did I get the same card from you last year? I don't know why we change it either. I think sometimes what a waste of time. Why do we keep changing it? But we do. I guess sometimes they get dated looking. So, so this is one we changed. This is different now. So whenever they have a wedding anniversary, so we ask them for their anniversary, we send them a $10 AMC gift card. So this is a funny story. So we send these to everybody like 5 days before their anniversary. So this guy sends me a text message, one of my kids' clients, he's like, oh my God, thank you so much for sending this to me. He goes, you saved my ass. He goes, I had no idea my anniversary was next week. I'm like, okay. And he's like, this is the best thing ever. He goes, I'm going to refer you to everybody from this. He goes, I probably could be divorced next week and sell my house if you didn't sell me this. So, it really, really goes a long way. And I'm just not sending a card with nothing. Everything I do, I think there's got to be something in it for them. It can't all be what's in it for me, which is I want to refer. It's got to be what are they getting out of this? Because most people are into what's in it for me. I met with a tree guy this week, and I'm telling him, like, okay, just look at my yard, tell me how many trees you can cut down, and he's like, well, let me talk to you about these kind of trees. I'm like, okay, can you cut them down? Yeah, I don't care what kind of trees they are. Just bring your little saw and get rid of them. He's like, but he goes, this is my business. Like, I want to tell you why these trees are dead. And I said, Woody? It's his name, Woody. I go, I do not care about why the trees are dead. I got to go to work. I said, do you have one of those saw, whatever, chainsaw things? I go, just bring it here, and if you want to leave me a note about what kind of trees you cut down, fine. What's in it for me is I just want my trees cut down. I don't want to talk about every tree in my backyard, which there's a zillion of them, And he's like, well, this is going to be really, really expensive. And I'm like, I get it. I said, actually, I'm going to have you go over to my daughter's house, whose kid's in the hospital, because her branches and trees are touching the top of her roof. Can't think right now. I said, we have you do her house too. Oh my God, where does she live? I said, she's 3 blocks from here, 3 Londonderry, drive down the street, calls me from the front of the house, goes, yeah, I see there's a branch touching the roof. I'm like, Woody, you're becoming high maintenance. I don't think I can hire you if we have to keep talking about, I just need my trees cut down. So, again, it's totally not reading the audience. I'm like, I hired him, and oh, by the way, I said, I was thinking it was going to be like $10,000. I'm not kidding, because there's a lot of trees. And it was like, he goes, it's going to be a big total. I'm like, just give me the total. $2,500. I'm like, oh, well, it's a little more than I thought, but okay, I'll hire you. You're doing 2 houses. So anyway, the point of bringing this up is everybody wants to know what's in it for them. I just want them to cut my trees. I don't want them to tell me about the trees. So this is what we do for kids' birthday cards. Go to Baskin Robbins, get a Baskin Robbins gift certificate, give it to them, and they're all set there. These are just some of our touch base cards. Who do you know that's asking for referrals? There's no place like home. I had a very creative girl doing all these, and she charged me like next to nothing to do it. And we use Elance a lot for things that I don't want to deal with. As soon as I go on a listing appointment, this goes in the mail immediately after, or if I get a referral. It's a thanks latte. Starbucks will brand gift cards with your name. They have a corporate division, and you can get branded gift cards. I can't remember if these are 5 or 10, but that's what we send out. As soon as someone gives me a referral, immediately I send them thanks the latte. It's supposed to be cute. And then, and as soon as we do it for that. Oh, and right after I go on a listing appointment, it's already addressed, ready to go out. As soon as I walk out the door, I put it in the mail. I drive down the street and put it in the post office. And on the back of every single card, this is on the back. And we've all used this line before. This is nothing unique. But at least when they open it, they're saying, hey, I'm not just giving you this gift card for no reason, hopefully. The minute you get any referrals, you can send out movie tickets. You can send a gift certificate. There's restaurant.com. Be sure to call after the settlement and thank them. I was just telling Rick this morning, we were upstairs, that I don't go to any of my settlements, okay? Why? Because we're an attorney state. You have attorneys here? No. Okay, so I don't have to. But the point is, whether you go or not, the best thing you can do for a seller who has busted their butt to clean their house, and a lot of times in our market, the sellers don't go to the closings. They pre-sign. Do they pre-sign here? Okay. So especially when they pre-sign, the greatest gift you can give these people is say, you know what, the buyers, especially if it's been a contentious transaction, the buyers were so grateful about the condition of the home that it was left in. Now, the buyers have never said this to me, but I know these people have busted their butt. I had one time someone put kitty litter in the sump pump, they were so mad, but most of the time, the sellers have busted their butt for the house to be nice for the buyers. So I tell the sellers always, the buyers were so appreciative of the condition that you left the home. And it just leaves them with a very happy taste in their mouth. This week, last week, I don't work with buyers all that much, but these are my best friends. So they bought a house, it was a realtor, I think I told you this yesterday. And she was just so nasty. They were cash buyers. They did a double move because she wouldn't move. And we got to the house, and there were a bunch of paint cans, and there was a refrigerator I talked about. And my friend, sent me a text message. She goes, what a buzzkill. We pulled up. Oh, and then when we left the closing table, the wire hadn't transferred. She gave them the garage code. She never said, don't go in the house. They weren't moving in. So they went to the house. Nobody ever said to them, don't go in the house. It was a cash deal. The money just hadn't crossed the wire yet. And they were out. So she gave them the garage code. They go into the house, or they pull up to the house, and the neighbors are standing there with the previous seller who are totally ticked off because we made them get rid of the refrigerator. They had to pay $149. Anyway, she's like, what a total buzzkill. She goes, totally different than our sale. Our buyers thought our house looked so great. These people left their paint cans, they left the refrigerator. They're outside talking bad stuff about us to the new neighbors. We're so uncomfortable. She goes, it's just a total buzzkill. And I thought, what could I have done differently? Like I don't really know on the buy side what I could have done. But it's really good to have, and she said, when we sold our house, I had such a good feeling. You told me how the buyer said our house was so great and so clean. And then we bought it, and especially she goes, how could she be a realtor? She's the worst. I'm like, that's why she's moving, because she's got to downsize. So anyway, just leave a good taste in their mouth is what I'm saying. So this is a 12-month plan that we do. We started out, so if you've been in the business a long time, I started out doing this because I've been in the business a long time, and of course, I didn't have people's email addresses from 20 years ago, So I thought, how can I get email addresses from people that I'm currently snail mailing? So I started this campaign, and this was the best thing I ever did, and I will never not do this. I've done some spins on it. So every month we do a drawing. So this drawing is for our past clients. Anybody that's in our database as a future client, like somebody, you go on an appointment, they're not ready. You have a buyer that you're working with, but they haven't closed or settled. So this we do every 12 months, and we don't really deviate from what we're doing. So in January, we do radon test kits. The idea behind that is most people raising their hand for a radon test kit are probably thinking about selling their house. A radon test kit is so the average cost of this per month is maybe, I don't know, $200 to $300 a month. You could do it on a smaller scale. Ours is that much because we have such a big client base. February, gift certificates for two, $50 each. I think we've changed that now. I think we do maybe 4. Barnes & Noble gift cards. Mario Ciccocci is a beauty shop. And one thing you'll notice is the things that I'm doing are interspersed local and non-local. So if you go down, there's a Cubs game for June. So I just go on eBay and I buy Cub tickets and I give them away and they think I have season tickets. It's great. I don't have season tickets. I don't even, And then July, Omaha Steaks. That could go to anybody. August, Target back to school cards. Everybody has a Target no matter where they live. September, gas gift cards. I think this year, what are we doing? She just asked me yesterday, but we're doing something different this year. October, we do a pumpkin giveaway. We used to have pumpkins dropped off at the office. Well, it was great until we got stuck with about, 40 pumpkins. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all these pumpkins? So you can't donate pumpkins. So I now give them a certificate to go to a place to pick up a pumpkin, way more. And then the place will send me all the cards back of who showed up. And that's how so they have to bring the card. It's a postcard. And then November is probably the biggest event that we do that really works fantastic. So I don't have time to go pop by, nor do I want to pop by people's houses at all. So in November, every year, we have a pie giveaway. Has anybody ever heard this idea before? Okay. This is the greatest thing we do, and it's so timely. So we send out an email now. It used to be in a postcard. So if you don't have people's so what we did is we took everybody we have an email, we do an email blast. Everybody we didn't, we were doing snail mail and postcards. Now we have almost 100% of the emails. So what they have to do is they have to register for either a cherry or an apple pie. I get the pies from a local bakery that you can't go to the grocery store and get. I live in Illinois. They're actually from Lake Geneva Pie Company in Wisconsin. Lake Geneva Pie Company comes to my office, delivers 275 pies. That's how much it's up to. The pies are about $10 a piece. So do the math. Again, you don't have to do that many. You could do everybody that you sold to this year. You could spin on it. You can spin on keeping the price down. But the thing is, it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving always, and I'm always in the office. And because I have this great database, the people come into the front desk of the office. I give the whole front desk people, everybody. I don't own my office, by the way, so I'm just an agent in the office. So the people come to the front desk. They have to bring the card in order to get the pie. Why? Because I got burned. Somebody came in the office, asked for their pie. The office goes, so-and-so's here for the pie. Your people are here for a cherry pie or an apple pie or whatever it was. I go up front. So this is before we were really keeping track of the names. I went up front, and they're like, hey, Leslie, how are you? It's so good to see you. You're looking so great, right? I'm like, oh, I said, you look great too. And they go, you don't even know who we are, do you? And I'm going, oh my gosh. Of course I know. And I had no idea who they were. There were clients from 20 years ago, and they just surfaced to pick up this pie. So they go, you don't even know who we are, do you? And I said, of course I know who you are. Well, who are we? I said, seriously, you're going to make me dignify that with an answer? I said, that is an insult. And I'm like, I could just feel my face getting redder and redder. And I know they knew I didn't know. So now what we do is we make them bring the postcard in to the office. and we have a list, and the front desk says, what's your name? So that, I'm in my office. I look them up in the database. This is great. I have their kids' names. I have everything. So I will walk up there and be like, hi, Andy and Sue. Gosh, how are you guys? I haven't seen you in like 8 years. Because every year, different people will surface. And I'm like, and how's Gary? I mean, he must be like 22 now. Is he married yet? And they go, we can't believe you remember our son Gary would be almost 22. It's like, duh, I've been sending you birthday cards every year. They have no idea. But because, especially if they think you're super busy or super successful, this is a way to show that, you're paying attention. It really works. And then the best ones, so I had this one lady come in. I'm going to answer questions at the end. I had this one lady come in. This is to show you how ungrateful some people are. And she comes in, and so a mother and daughter had come in, and I told both of them a house. So they're each there picking up a pie. So they had, or I think, no, it wasn't a mother and daughter. One person was there, and she had 2 pies. That's what it was. And she was picking up a pie for her mother. So her mother was entitled to a pie because she bought from us, and the daughter. So in comes the next lady who says, single mom with 1 kid, oh, I want an apple and a pumpkin pie. I said, well, you signed up for an apple pie. Well, why are they getting 2 pies? Why is she getting 2 pies? And I'm like, because they bought a house. She goes, well, I was counting on having an apple and a pumpkin pie. And literally, we have it down to who's getting. I go, I'll tell you what. I said, let me see at the end of the day, how things shake out, and I'll let you know. So I give her whatever apple pie, and she's totally pissed. She walks out of the office, slams the door. I'm like, wow, this is a new take on the Thanksgiving pie day. She's totally ticked off instead of being happy. So I call her up later. I leave her a message, and I said, you know what, Robin? I don't want you to be upset. I said, this is meant to be a happy day, happy time, my way of giving back. So I'm just going to give you my pie that I was going to have for Thanksgiving. I'm going to drop it off at your doorstep. And I said, it's no big deal. Most of my family doesn't even like pumpkin pie anyway, so I'll just drop it off at your house. So I wait a little while. About an hour later, we had our phones locked. She calls back. She goes, I'm so sorry. I was being so greedy. I was being such a B word, I don't even know what I was thinking, why I was acting that way. I'm like, okay. So I took the pie to her house anyway. But most of the time, it's a very happy day. Everybody's hugging. Everybody's happy. We have cider for the kids. We have pumpkin lollipops. We have all kinds of stuff when they walk in. And we don't want to hang around, but it's basically a pop-by, but they're coming to you. And it shocks me how people will drive a half an hour to get this pie. Because I'm in an area where I work a bunch of suburbs, and I'm thinking, well, why is someone from Gurnee, which is 21 miles away, going to drive here? And half the people are from there. It's weird. They'll do it. So here's a sample of how we're doing some of our drawings. So that's a sample of the January. That's the one that we do. Oh yeah, this month we're doing movie gift cards. I just remembered. Just asked me that. So the radon one I would totally think is a great idea. You have radon here, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm just checking. Because we used to tell people we didn't have radon until we got all the transferees from the East, and then we figured out we had radon. We didn't know. Because all their corporate clients tested, and we're like, wow, we have radon. Imagine that. So then we'd also do the movie theater tickets we were doing actually a movie day, but that got kind of expensive because they were buying snacks, and I felt compelled to buy their popcorn, and it was more than the movie tickets. So I'm like, forget this idea. So now we'll just send them to the movie. And if you look at all these things, so the analytical guy is going to be very excited about the radon test. Most S personalities don't care. But the movie, to the S personality, would matter. So the Cub tickets are geared towards the guys, right? And you should see all the out-of-towners that sign up for the Cub tickets, especially now. The Cubs are doing really well. So I get these tickets. I get some throughout the year, but these particular really good seats, my lender has season tickets. So I make her commit to giving me 4. See, it's 2 pairs, 1 of 2 pairs. So if you go on my Facebook page, you'll see I had 2 clients sitting next to each other. They both were texting me from the actual Cubs game, and I'm like, introduce yourself to Susie and Neil. I actually set it up so, the way the drawings work is, by the way, they're drawings, but I pick the winner. And let's just say, some people will never win. Mr. Keychain will not win, okay? He could sign up every other day, and he's not going to win unless he comes in with an anonymous name. But anyway, and by the way, he still signs up to win things, even though he said to me, Now, we're moving to Burling. He says, do you know where Burling is? It's a very high-end street in Chicago. Because I'm not a Chicago, I'm a suburban agent. He goes, do you know where Burling is? I go, no, where is that? He's like, oh, you don't know about Burling? No, I don't. Tell me all about it so I can feed your little ego. And somehow he wouldn't get rid of me, even though I wanted to. I mean, I tried everything to get rid of him, but thankfully it didn't take that long to sell his house. Anyway, so back to school cards. We just did this in August. We get at least 300 people minimum that will sign up for these drawings. Now, remember, these drawings are only for people we have relationships with or want to. So it's people that I've been on a listing appointment. Every time I go on a listing appointment, I ask for their email address, and they go into this list. So in the way that we promote it is see the button on my website? So we just do an icon. So that's my website, which is a RealPro site, and they just put the icon on for us. It costs like $10 to do it. They put the icon on it. So nobody, if you were to go on my website, I mean, you might click on it, but I very rarely get random people because they don't even know what that is. I thought one day Target's gonna probably come after me for like trade copyright or something. Yeah. So I was thinking about that, like all these things I put on there, who knows? So this is something that we added last year. This was huge. And I mean, if you're gonna do this, take it to this level, and I'll show you the results. So we were doing the drawing winning, but we never required anything back. So it automatically generated they had to put in an email and a phone number. And so that's how I kept up to date. So the minute I get the drawing, I go in the database and make sure it's still the same email, still the same phone number. I love the ones that we've moved to a new address. They didn't work with me, but we still would like to register for your drawing, even though we didn't work with you. You're not winning the drawing, by the way. Anyway, so you might as well stop now because you're not getting it. Anyway, so what we did is, so this gal that works for me, she's very into social media. She has two personalities, Social Bria and Real Bria, and they're not the same people. But she's actually really smart, but like she doesn't speak to anybody in the office. She comes in like this, and on Facebook you look at and you think she's like the most extroverted person ever. She's very good at creating fake personalities, so she does well with this stuff. So she came up with this gift card drawing. So you see it's ask for the name, ask for the home phone, ask for whatever. We don't ask for their address, we ask for their email. But these are mandatory fields, and this changed a lot when I was doing the drawings. Are you or anyone you know considering a move within the next year? Well, I'm gonna show you. I couldn't believe, I will get at least, if 300 people sign up, at least 10% will say, I'm either gave your name to somebody, I'm gonna move next summer. I'll show you that, I think, oh, it's not there. So here's the responses, 270, 180, 190, and then here's a sample of what I get back in a spreadsheet. Look at this, neighbors going through a divorce. One or both will need to sell. I gave my friend your name, hoping she'll call you. She's worked with an agent but doesn't like her. If any of our friends or relatives in Illinois are planning on selling, we will advise them to use you and your team. You guys were the best ever. Mother-in-law, Lori Anderson. That was $1 million listing I currently have. She's a doctor. My friend is planning on moving next spring. As we went through our move, I shared with her the suggestions. One of my sons, look at this, and it's crazy. And this is all from that one little tweak on the drawing plan. Social media, post as often as possible. New listings, awards, achievements. I don't put listings on my personal page. I only put them on my business page. I think that's the fastest way to get people to not want to stay there. Settlements, market statistics. We try and take pictures with the clients. So that is our actual personal page. So now we've gone to asking for testimonials. As soon as we close, sometimes we'll send them a direct link to the Zillow where they can, do it. But what I was noticing is we need to have we need to have some on Facebook. So what we've been doing is the ones that I know are really into social media, I'll ask them to do a Facebook review. The ones that are like completely out of crazy raving fans, I'll have them do Zillow because that becomes the latest thing you're gonna see when people look. So, and I advise you, look at your competition. You know those horrid people in your market. Look at their Zillow reviews, and if they're crappy, you don't have to even mention their name. Just tell them, go to Agent Finder, go to the reviews, sort from bad to good. I can't tell you how many listings I've gotten because I've done that, especially when I'm competing with the bad one. So this is a sample of a posting. So we have the Tour Factory post there to give you an idea. And actually, I'm just looking at this thinking, God, I just got someone in trouble for this. We don't have our brokerage on there. We need to fix that. Maybe it's in the first click, which is okay in our board. But this is a sample of what we're putting on there. And then here's a sample of people at the closing. Judy Scanlon had a very special closing with these things, and then they made comments, We also lobby for, I'm sure in your local newspapers you have like Best Realtor or whatever, right? This is free advertising. So lobby to get into your local newspaper by, thanks to you, we were named a top pick in the Reader's Choice Best of the Best Realtors. Cost me $0, not a penny. So, and the thing is, if you're new in the business, you can use your sphere. You've got friends, you've got family, you have a dry cleaner, you have people that wash your windows. Use these people and tell them, I expect things from you if you expect things from me. I changed that thinking. We also put in all kinds of little local events that are happening. How do we get them? We Google what's happening in Lake County and copy whatever someone else wrote was happening. We change our little thing, but for the most part. So we have that going on. And we talk about construction projects, things that are going on in the area. And again, like you can use Rand's thing and use that client creator as well. These are the types of things. We've sold a house every 1.25 days for 28 years. This is a really good way to brag about yourself, but not be too obnoxious. So you're thanking people versus saying, we're so great. People don't want to hear that. This is a sample of another post. So sometimes we'll just take our postcards and put them on there. So remember yesterday I was talking about quantify your results. So numbers are numbers. So you could look at your whole macro market, and if things are selling for, say, 94% of the list price in the macro market, but everything you sold is 96% of the asking price, so this is what we did here. Leslie McDonald team sells 4% higher sales price than the market average for every $400,000 of your home's value. Needless to say, I'm sending it to a $400,000 neighborhood. You're getting $16,000 more. So when people question me on commission, I'm like, okay, well, you could save 0.5% or gain 3.5%. It's up to you, however you want to do it. This is, my daughter is an agent on my team showing, their pool in their backyard, and she's, tagging all these different people. It's another happy homeowners. So use this Facebook because when you start tagging these people, their friends are going to see they used you. Even if they don't refer you, it's an opportunity. And of course, we ask them. We don't just take their picture and post it. We go, hey, would you mind if we use your picture for social media? And of course, nobody says no. This is another thing. If you went on my Facebook page in December, there were a gazillion of these. So every year, we send a personalized ornament to every single person we've ever sold a house to. Now, this is an expensive endeavor, unless they moved out of state. And if they move out of state, they got to be pretty special to still get one. I have one lady in Arizona. She has these 2 trees. They came from like Hobby Lobby. Do you have Hobby Lobbies here? Yeah. So they're these. They have those big, like kind of Nordic-looking trees. Both trees are completely filled with all the ornaments I've sent them over the years. So every year we change it, and this is another way to find out if your clients have had a baby. If they're getting divorced, they'll call you and say, "Oh, this year when you send the ornament, you might want to leave Chuck off." I'm like, is he still alive? Yes, he's alive, but I almost killed him, So Chuck is no longer on the ornament. So then we take off the last name, we put the mom and the kids, and then we send the dad one with the dad and the kids. But anyway, so this is a sample, and on the back of this, which I don't know why we're not showing you that, but we get these little labels that say compliments of the Leslie McDonald team with our phone number. Why? Because when they're putting those ornaments away in December, and these cost, we buy them in bulk from the ornament shop. I think I have it on here. Oh, I don't. I'm going to put that in there. The ornament shop is where they're from. And I think they're about $10 a piece. Now, if you went online, they'll say $19, but she gives me a wholesale price because I'm a realtor. So we give her the list in October, and they deliver them. And then how do these get delivered? It's crazy. So we all divide them up by towns. And I pray so I even do some of these. And I strategize where I'm going to go so I don't have to run into anybody. Because if you hand them to everybody at their front door, you'll never be done. So we wait till after the mailman comes. So we have it all figured out what time the mail comes to every town. And then we put it in the mailbox. You cannot put it in the mailbox if we found that out too, the hard way, because we had to go pick them all up from the post office one year. You can't put them in the mailbox if you don't pay postage. And then we do mail some of them, the ones that are like an outlier. But we divide them all up and deliver them, and we get a ton of response from that. Another idea for you, very simple. I did this year. If you go on this Facebook page, you'll see there's 600 members. I just started it like not even a year ago. It's Lincolnshire Moms. Lincolnshire is a town. You can make it Lincolnshire Neighbors. I just set up some subdivision ones. I think I told you this yesterday. I've yet to do anything with them, but that is my project for September 1. I'm going to get on it. And basically what I'm going to do is post sales, what's going on in the neighborhood, that type of thing. But the moms groups are unbelievable. Now I have all these realtors trying to join it, and I will not let them join it. Will not. Because if somebody says, does anybody know a good realtor? I don't need 10 realtors that are my competition saying I'm a good realtor when I'm the only one that's going to be on that page. So I can take care of and you know, some people think that's not right. Well, you know what? It is right because I made it and I can do whatever I want. So if they don't like it, they can make their own page, you know? So if you have questions, now's the time. Someone had a question over here. What's that? Okay. Yeah, so we sent them a spreadsheet with all the names on the spreadsheet, and the way we get the names is from giving that paper at the closing. But right before we are doing the ornaments, so like probably September 1, we send out a letter stating we're about to get ready to do the ornaments. Please let us know if you have any changes. Someone will say I had a baby. Someone will say, you know, got rid of my husband, my wife. Yes, back there. Can you? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Yeah, can you stand maybe?
We're doing this for a lot of years, so the children we marketed to these families are now What was your plan to transition them to an adult member of your group?
So you're asking what I'm doing with the adult children of my past clients?
Or when do you incorporate them into being an adult part of your spirit?
Oh, because, well, so, okay, like we're sending the Toys R Us gift cards, right? Well, obviously, once they turn like 10, we'll do Best Buy to the older ones. Yeah, we'll change it to Best Buy. We're not sending Toys R Us gift card to a 15-year-old, obviously, so we'll do a Best Buy gift card instead. Thanks for asking that question. It was a good question. And to market to the kids? Yeah. So what we're doing is when I'm sending letters to the parents, I'm sending in my handwritten notes. I'm writing, guess what? I just sold, you know, because most of them know each other. I just sold Tom Filippo and Jen a house. How are they getting close to buying a house? So that's what I handwrite in the notes. Yeah, yes, right here. The cheapest and most efficient way to get an email address from the past clients is basically doing the bulk mail, those things I do every month. If you don't want to do every month, do it twice a year, do it 3 times a year. Because if you get 8 Target gift cards, it's $200. If you use Constant Contact to send out, well, obviously you don't have their email, so you can't use Constant Contact, but if you could do a snail mail postcard. You can do a handwritten card. I mean, that would be 1 stamp. And just have a little folded tent card saying this is what you're going to get. I gave a sample of it if you give us your email. And then when you do the drawings, it's literally averages me like $200 a month. I am really about keeping the bottom line clean, mean, and I don't do billboards, I don't do shopping carts, I don't do any of that stuff. My moving van is a billboard. So, yes?
2 questions. One question is your listing by Leslie.com, is that it's a listing or it's a regular website that we have?
It has buyer searches, is that what you're asking? Yeah, it has. No, the idea is I want the sellers because from the sellers you'll get the buyers. So I always I'm like looking more for the listings because if, did you ever hear the old saying, he who lists leads? Yeah, so I'm always looking for the lists.
What is the content? If I go in there right now, I guess, what are you,
Basically what I'm doing is making it very easy for them to look for homes. That's it. 1 click to find a house. And then it also will generate a CMA request as well on the front page.
That's what
Yeah.
So is that a minimum to order in order to have your name on the card? Is that a minimum?
A minimum for what?
Starbucks gift card?
Oh, you know what? I think it might be 100. So it's $500 to get a big bulk of them. I'm pretty sure it's 100. Yeah. I could be wrong because I had someone else do it. The moving truck is about, well, you can do a lease for $700 a month. I had a lease one and I bought one. The one I bought is really old, but I think right now it's about $40,000 if you want to buy it, or $700 a month. The insurance is $191 a month. And On the Move Trucks is where you get it. It's a whole package. It's called onthemove.com. And it has been, and I let people that buy my listings use the truck also. And I'll tell you, I had to get a second truck because I never thought people would use it as much as they did. So it's a total turnkey to get a truck from them. All they do is realtors. So, On the Move. Okay? Okay, say Exact, IXACT, Realty Juggler, and Follow Up Boss were the three that people talk about. And I think Rand's Client Creator has something like that too. Next. Sorry. What do I automatically offer them? I have, okay, so when I list a house, the first thing I do is tell them we're gonna have a stager come in. Even if their house is picture perfect, I still have a stager come in. Because I want them to see that I'm doing something of value. And I tell them, I go, I don't even know what she's gonna tell you to do, because your house is literally perfect. And I'll give them the option. I said, if you feel like you're ready to go, it's fine, but I would really like to send her here, just in case there's something we're missing. Even the decorating done lady with the hideous house, she just wants the stager. I'm like, you are a stager, basically. Why do you want a stager? Anyway, yes.
My question is, so when you started this, you've been in business for a while, so if you're trying to just start this now, you have past clients, what would you recommend to the person to start with the past clients?
The first thing I would do are these drawings and do the pie event. I mean, those are the two things. Because the point of doing these drawings is you're putting your name in front of them every month. And we use Constant Contact, which is a bulk email service. I think that's $70 a month, and then the drawings average $200 to $300 a month. That's nothing.
So you just send out an email to all of the past clients you haven't used in a while and say you're now starting this program and you're
And then every month I just keep dripping, and I never have anybody opt out, which is really weird too. I thought I'd have a lot of people think it's spam, but again, they're getting something. So, and then I keep a spreadsheet of who's won, because I always see the people I like. I'm like, oh, I want them to win. But who wins usually are the people that are going to be selling their house in January. They're always a winner. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
You list a lot of numbers, and this is a big question. You do a CMA, figure out, let's say, 2,410. You go to the house for that one listing appointment, get in there, it has repairs that need to be done, it's lime green, it's awful. How do you say to them, well, I looked at it, it would have been worth 410, but your house.
Well, I don't put the numbers in. I don't put the number. So you're asking, I don't put a number into the CMA until I'm at the house. So what I do is I go over the comps when I'm at the house, and then I tell them I'm going to send you a link to the CMA when we're done. So I leave the price to after. But obviously in every neighborhood you have this really great house that's sold and you have this piece of junk that's sold. So in between is where this house will be.
Do you then say, as is today, would be 380, if you make these
Changes, right. Yes, exactly. And the decorating done lady, I keep talking about her because I just couldn't believe, I'm still in shock over how do you have the decorating done, your house looks like crap. But I told her, she's like, well, we really want over 500. I'm like, well, I said, let me show you what has sold over 500. And let's compare, okay, here's your bathroom. This is why cloud is great if you do it on an iPad. I'm telling you, go iPad. You can blow up the picture. Forget paper CMAs. You can go right on your iPad and she's like, well, that one doesn't have granite counters. I'm like, yes, it does. These are black granite counters. So, and you don't have them either. You have green Corian, so whatever, at least these are black. I mean, yours look like bad. Yes. Just like, and the best is when they start touching it and it screws the whole thing up. I'm like, don't touch my iPad. iPad Pro has the big screen. I was doing it on a tiny iPad. And so you have to position people correctly in the seats. So if you're at an oblong table, you have them sit on the corners and you sit across, and then you can just, run through it. Yes?
Website, you keep mentioning events.
Can you talk louder? I can hear you, I'm sorry.
You're mentioning
Elance. It's E-L-A-N-C-E. It might be 2 E's now. Just type in Elance into Google and you'll find it. It's had a million different names, so it might be called something else. And My Outdesk is the other one I talked about yesterday. So that is, it's owned, I think, it started, I don't even know if he still owns it, by like a KW agent. I don't work for KW, so these people, they're used to doing real estate specific activities. So if you say, I want someone to do social media, they quote the job. So you don't even have to hire anybody. So you pay them when you can, and you don't have to pay them when you don't want to. Anybody else? Anything? Okay, so the last thing, okay, go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Grow Power. I love seeing a professional, strong woman.
Oh, thank you. Wow, thanks. Thank you. Thanks.
I noticed on your CMA or CRM plan, you have lunch. How often does that actually happen? Because that could be a very time.
Yeah, lunch is, notice there's a question mark? If I like you, I'll do lunch with you. If I don't, I'm not. So if it's somebody I like, I will, say, hey, but I make it like a Panera activity. If it's somebody I really like, I'll go to the next level. But I would say probably 50% of the time I'll ask them, I'll even say, let me know when you're free for lunch. And a lot of times they don't, but at least they know I wanted to take them to lunch, And truthfully, some of our very best friends were my past clients. My husband's on a golfing trip right now. He is with my past client's husband. And I give him this whole precursor. I'm like, guess what? So we're going out for dinner tonight. I'm like, you're not going to like them at all. It's only going to made it a quick run. I go, but we have to do this because this guy's connected. So he's like, and my husband's so great. He's like, yeah, whatever, fine. But then I go, tonight you're going to be so happy. These people are awesome. You're going to love him. You guys can talk about politics, his favorite subject. I said, and you can talk to them about politics. I don't have to kick you under the table. And, it'll be great. So I want to close in saying this. I remember when, I would be sitting in the audience and thinking, wow, I could never do all this. This is too much. You've got all these people. I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm just going to tell you that I was on my own doing a lot of these things, and the only thing that makes it possible to do is if you create a system. It's so easy. Once it's in place, you never have to do it again. And you don't need somebody. You can start small. Even when I go to a conference, I take a big sheet of paper, and I still go to conferences, and every time I go, I learn something. I just was at one in July. And I take a big legal status pad of paper, and I write down everything I would like to do that I heard. You could do that by going through your notebook. And I label them A, B, and C. Then I take the A's and I put them in a pile, the B's in a pile, and the C's in a pile. And the A's are things that I'm going to implement right away. And usually I limit that to 3 things I'm going to do. It might be get people's birthdays. It might be get their email addresses. I mean, if I didn't have a CRM, that would be I wouldn't even leave this conference other than driving home without figuring out who's going to be your database. All those databases come with pre-formatted plans. You may not like those plans, but you can go in and change them. How do you do that? When you're sitting at your desk tomorrow, from the minute you sit down, write down what you did that day. So, okay, I got an earnest money check. So this is going to be part of a system for closing. I got this. That's going to be part of a system for post-closing or post-settlement. And just a little bit at a time. I didn't do this all in one day, and I didn't, and a lot of it I did do myself. And these people came to work for me later, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. There's a gal, Brenda Wade, she's a realtor in Florida. I was telling Rick about this. She was at something that I had spoken at sometime, and she called me and said, could I fly in and shadow you? I'm like, okay. I said, well, how much? She's doing about 60 million. I'm like, why do you need to come in? And she did. So she came in. She's like, holy crap, I'm doing this all wrong. Every day I'm reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. I've got to be systemized. I said, if you're systemized, you will probably double your production. Double. She did 165 million last year. She kicked my butt, and I'm like, good for you. But, she said, I just saw the light. I was like, wow, I had been spinning my wheels, basically, constantly trying to get new business. The warm leads are so easy. And you know what? The warm leads are basically people that are going to give you a life. Because if I've learned nothing in the last month, 2 months that my grandson's been in the hospital, not that I didn't know this before, but you got to have a life, And if you're burning yourself so far to the ground just to make money, people sense your desperation. And the more desperate you are, the more you're not going to get business. I remember one time I needed money so bad. I had these people, I'll never forget it. I was sitting in my bedroom, single at the time with a couple little kids, and these people, they were corporate transfers. We had gone to a builder. I signed them in. They put a deposit down. I'm like, yes, I'm done with these people. I can enjoy my weekend. So they were here till Sunday. I said, what are you going to do the rest of the week? You know, you don't want to let them on the loose because you're always going to get in trouble. What are you guys doing for the rest of the weekend? Oh, we're going to go visit some friends and whatever. They called me on Monday. Oh, and I needed the money. I'm telling you, I needed the money. I couldn't even pay my mortgage then. And they're like, oh, you're never going to believe what happened. We were driving up to show our friends a house, and there was an open house sign on the corner. And we went into this builder who wasn't listed, so I couldn't have shown it to him. And we found this place. And so we're buying it. We can close in 30 days, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I said, oh, did you tell him you're working with an agent? Oh, he said, yeah, we could work with you, but we would just have to tack your commission onto the other end of it. I'm like, oh my God. I literally sat in just was bawling. And I was like, you know what? I was so desperate with those people. They probably somehow sensed it. Not that they did it on purpose. But, if I had been the me now that I was then, I would have said, listen, guys, I've spent 3 days with you. Like, my expectation is that you won't buy a house without me. I didn't have the guts to say it back then. But now, I do. Because, if they don't want to work with me, bye-bye. I was driving a boat through a lake, and my son's on the back of it, and he's out tubing. And this is when I had my aha moment, like, I'm going to have life balance. He's 23, he was probably like 11 at the time. And I was on the phone. I mean, I wasn't driving. I was on the phone. He was on the tube. I was getting ready to pull him out of the water. And he's like, let's go, And I'm like, I'm on the phone. And literally, he jumped off the tube, and he's like, swam back to the boat. And he's like, you know what? Screw this. I don't even want to do it. And I thought, you know what? If you're not present when you should be, then you got to get your business systemized. And that's my point here. That's what I'm telling you. You can't afford not to get, if your business is systemized, you will get your life back. And if you don't have a lot of business, you'll get more business in half the time by being systemized. So I appreciate you having me today. I hope everything worked out great. Thank you.